For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin in Brazil, where presidential candidates gathered Thursday night for their last debate ahead of Sunday's presidential elections. Frontrunner and incumbent Dilma Rousseff touted her party's track record of economic growth and poverty reduction. She highlighted the fact that GDP per person has grown 2.5% per year since her party has been in power. Along with the growth, poverty has been reduced by half and extreme poverty by 2/3. Dilma Rousseff also promised to strengthen Brazil's multilateral relationships during the debate.
We are going to strengthen our relationship with the BRICS countries. We just created a bank to develop the BRICS with reserve funds. We are going to simultaneously develop our relationship with the European Union and our ties to the United States. Brazil will maintain a multilateral global presence.
Isso significa que o Brasil defende relações multilaterais.
Our correspondent in Brazil, Stephanie Kennedy, continues to follow the latest developments in this roller coaster campaign. Stephanie.
Good day from Rio. Now today we're going to be looking at the role of the media in the presidential elections and the way they have been supporting the opposition candidates. I'd like to take a closer look at Marina Silva. Now she became a first runner for the elections when her presidential running mate Eduardo Campos died tragically in a plane crash earlier this August. She briefly led in the polls, but not for long, as Dilma Rousseff soon came back with the lead with 39% to 40% of the support from Brazilians. Now, it is the background of Marina Silva which has attracted the media. She comes from a poor family in the Amazonas state of Brazil, was the first in her family to graduate, and since then became a firm environmentalist activist. However, now that she is running for the elections, her stance on many of these issues has changed. She supports a more neoliberal economic policy. She wants to bring Brazil closer to the United States, and she also obviously wants to rein back public spending. Controversially, she has decided to not oppose the introduction of genetically modified foods in Brazil, something which has shocked many of the activists that used to support her. Now that's all for now. Back to the studio. I'm Stephanie Kennedy from Rio.
Just under 150 million people will be eligible to vote Sunday. According to numbers from the nation's electoral authorities, over 50% of voters live in just 5 states. Sao Paulo is the largest state in Brazil with nearly 32 million voters and a full 22% of the electorate. That state is followed by Minas Gerais, where over 10% of the electorate live, with 14.5 million voters. The state of Rio de Janeiro contains 12 million voters, making up 8.5% of the electorate. 7% of voters live in Bahia, just under 6% live in Rio Grande. And we go to Venezuela, where the government has declared 3 days of mourning following the death of Deputy Robert Serra. Mourners gathered for Serra's funeral Thursday following his apparent murder Wednesday night. Colleagues, friends, and relatives packed the ceremony to bid the socialist leader an emotional farewell. Authorities call his death a premeditated assassination. Leaders of other Latin American countries have condemned the murder, while Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro urged Venezuelans to trust in the nation's legal system to solve the crime.
Todas las evidencias criminalísticas, las pistas.
All of the forensic evidence and clues are coming together
avanzadas
in order to identify those who are responsible
para identificar a los autores materiales.
And after having conversed with those who are leading the investigation, Mr. Rodriguez Torres, I believe we are coming close to giving a major blow to this band of criminals and assassins.
Un fuerte golpe a esta banda de criminales y sicarios.
And elsewhere in Latin America, Bolivians are preparing for their own general elections with just 9 days before voters head to the polls. The Electoral Tribunal has presented a new voting process designed to limit fraud. The new system involves using barcodes to send results directly to the tribunal to avoid any tampering. Incumbent Evo Morales is expected to coast to a landslide victory. His closest competitor, Samuel Doria Medina, trails him by 46 points. In Cuba, today marks the last day of this round of peace talks between the Colombian government and the FARC guerrilla group in Havana. The focus recently has been on testimonies from the conflict's victims. FARC leaders have announced that they will broadcast footage from the negotiations every 3 days on YouTube. They say it's an attempt to update the public on the process, which has been marred with rumors and speculation. In Paraguay Thursday, members of a student union surrounded the Education and Culture Ministry, demanding that they receive free school lunches and that the state provide better infrastructure for education. The Latin American country has been facing regular teacher strikes as a result of little government investment in the sector. And to Mexico, where thousands of people marched in the capital Thursday to commemorate the anniversary of the 1968 Tlatelolco massacre, in which scores of people were murdered by the military during student protests. The massacre marked a turning point in Mexican history, and the true number of people who died in the massacre is still unknown. In world news, U.S. President Barack Obama continues facing criticism for his role in the lack of immigration reform in the country. Obama told the Congressional Hispanic Caucus yesterday that he will continue pushing for reforms. His words come despite the fact that his administration oversaw over 438,000 deportations last year. That brings the total number of deportations during his terms in office to over 2 million. On a holy weekend in which both Jews and Muslims are asking for forgiveness, tensions are on the rise in Israel and Palestine. Citing security concerns, the Israeli military has shut down all routes of transport between Israel and Palestine for the holidays. Meanwhile, reports have emerged that the Israeli government has given permission to extremist groups living in Palestine to build over 2,500 new housing units. As the United States rushes to prevent any spread of the Ebola virus on its soil, some U.S. nurses say they are unequipped to deal with any possible outbreak of the virus. So far, the outbreak has killed over 3,300 people. Cuba has dispatched 165 doctors and nurses to one of the worst-hit countries, Sierra Leone. Another 296 Cuban doctors and nurses will head to Liberia and Guinea. Kurdish resistance fighters in the Syrian border town of Kobani have warned of a coming massacre by the Islamic State group. It remains unlikely that Turkish forces will offer assistance to their Kurdish neighbors. The Turkish parliament has passed a measure authorizing cross-border military incursions. U.S.-led forces continue bombing Islamic State targets in Syria and Iraq, but the campaign has done little to stop the Islamic State advance in northern Syria towards the Turkish border. And finally, on a lighter note, Quito, Ecuador is hosting an international gathering showing off one of the Andean country's most beautiful exports, its flowers. International buyers are in town to admire the many types of cultivated flowers Ecuador grows year-round. The South American nation is especially known for its roses. Organizers claim this is the largest flower fair in the world. As always, more on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great day.